All right, how do we calculate in chess? So one of the most effective methods to calculate is using candidate moves. So you don't calculate all moves possible in the position. You only consider 3 or 4 very good looking positions that can lead you to an advantage. So the first thing, regardless of the method, you want to see the effects of white's move. In this case, right? Bishop to d6. What is this move doing? First, is unprotecting my bishop, and second is attacking the pawn, the f pawn. Okay, so you figure, okay, maybe I have to consider a move with the bishop, right? Because it's in trouble, like my bishop is hanging. One candidate move is not the best, but a candidate move might be bishop to d5. I'm just gonna move my bishop, right? Okay, now this is when we start kind of the calculation. So the problem is c4. Yeah, the problem is they can just move the pawn, and where do you put the bishop? So let's say that you move the bishop again, and then bishop to b5. They have a lot of activity, right? And this is where you stop calculating. You don't want to keep calculating because this is a lot of trouble. We also know this as branching out. Okay, we are gonna consider the moves that lead to this line. You stop calculating here. It just doesn't work. Okay, instead you go back. You still recognize this problem. Is there other move that protects this bishop, right? Maybe I can go back, but it's kind of the same issue here. You get into a lot of trouble. They can still move the bishop here, and then you have to move the rook. So what about this other move? This might be this is the winning move actually. Moving the queen to protect your bishop, queen to e4, right? We realize we can use the diagonal, but there is a problem. We still have to consider this problem. This pawn is hanging. Okay, do you stop calculating there? Well, not really, right? You allow this counterplay, but you still have a mating threat. So we have to calculate what are the consequences of all the moves. Every forcing move, check, captures, and threat. We know this. Okay, what happens after they take the pawn? So you probably will say, oh, no, I have to calculate something else. But how big of a problem is this if they take this pawn? It's not that big of a problem. But the continuation has to be the right one, right? We cannot just simply move the king here, saying, okay, they're gonna capture the rook. Let's say here, I move here, for example, they capture the rook, and I can just capture back, right? Or I can even just go for the mate. No, actually this leads to a loss. So they don't even have to take the rook. They have this forcing move. They can trade queens. And now once they trade queens, why can I make a move? I don't know why. Because it's black to move. So I have to take here and then here. And yeah, this loses the game. But after the queen takes the pawn, what if I just move my king here? Yeah, I allow this to happen. But now this is hanging, right? This cannot happen, really. So yeah, that would be the best continuation. And let's say queen f3, that will be the best move for white. Okay, I can just take the queen and get rid of this rook. And now I have a winning endgame with rook and bishop versus 2 bishops. So it's still not super clear how I'm supposed to win, but in that calculation, I was better off. So you still have to consider 2 or 3 moves possible that win the position. And let's see the next one. Okay, so we can also use the geometry principles to help you calculate or simplify your calculation in chess. The first thing you want to do is divide the board into 2. Just visualize it like this. Divide it into 2, and then you only feel threatened, or you start calculating until they threaten to go into your territory. Am I worried about these 3 pieces? Not really, because they're out of the game. The only 3 pieces that are putting pressure into my territory. This is the knight, the queen, and the bishop. So the second advice I have for you is always draw the diagonals for the bishops and queen. In this game we get e5. Okay, I have to be aware of this bishop. I have to be aware of this queen. And well, the knight doesn't matter. But yeah, it matters, but okay, we draw the diagonals for these two pieces. And here we can just take here. This is when we start calculating. This will be a blunder because now I can activate my rooks. This knight is also hanging. So I can go here, and if I take my bishop, then I can even get rid of this bishop. Once I take back, they move here, the king has to move, and I win the rook. So this is like mate in 16 or something. Oh, if you were wondering, wait, they can go back. Yeah, I can go give a check here, and they get into more trouble. And this is completely lost. This is completely lost for black. So we don't even have to go down that line. But yeah, second is draw the diagonals for the bishops and queens. Third advice. Here, okay, they take. A good move might be queen c3. Look for the alignment of the pieces, right? So here I'm looking at everything. Not in this position because they have this move. Always look for forcing moves. And now my queen is hanging. But just as an example, okay? Just as an example. I'm gonna give you an example that works, but look for the alignment of the pieces. Now, knight takes on e5. And here it's not a mistake. I can take here, getting rid of this, because I was kind of afraid of that one, right? I was afraid of this. This is a move I made. But instead, a much better move is rook f to d1. 4 piece of advice, geometry principles. Always fight for the center. You want to fight for these 4 squares. Yeah, you don't have to rush it. You don't have to do anything. And here I can also have lots of threats. Let's say they make a move like this. I can play knight takes on e4. I'm hitting the queen twice. If they take, yeah, I can just take the queen. So they're getting into a lot of trouble. This queen is really loose, so they have to move. And now let's see a little bit the continuation for those who are interested. After knight takes on e5, what is the move here? Is rook f to d1. Yeah, rook f to d1. And then bishop to e6. Oh wait, my queen is getting hit. After we get hit by the bishop, we can move the queen here, queen to c3. And now this move doesn't work. I can just take back with the pawn. Yeah, queen is hanging, but his queen is hanging as well. So, and if they take here, I can just take. And I have a winning position. I am up a piece. Okay, so yeah, use the principles of chess. Always look for the alignment of the pieces. Fight for the center. Draw the diagonals for the bishops and queens. And divide the territory into 2. This method is less scientific, but it can be equally effective, especially when you are well trained. You do puzzles pretty much every day, so you cannot trust your intuition. Maybe you don't have all the time to calculate all the ramifications of the moves, so probably you can go by intuition. So intuitively, I go, oh, okay, I have a problem here. It's 3 pieces looking at this very weak knight. I cannot even put my rook here. I just lose it. So what do you do? Right? This is also like a bit of intuition, and it's really weird, but okay. The concept still applies. So I have to take the pawn. That's the best move, absolute best move in the position. And now, whatever happens next, then I am not afraid of this anymore. And then let's say they take here. I'm happy. I'm happy because after all the trades, I'm going to be better off. Let's say this happens. I'm threatening to play checkmate next. Right? So they cannot do that. Most logical move in the position is just to take. I'm gonna take the rook. Yeah, but now I don't have all the pressure. I have a lot less pressure on this square, on c7. Yeah, and the game can continue. But yeah, it was terrifying, right? So probably sometimes you have to follow your intuition and go with the move that maybe looks strange, but that was the best move in the position in this case, taking the pawn. Then there is something called progressive deepening, where you calculate one move ahead and then you go back to consider another move and then you deep your research. Okay, so let me explain it with an example. So here I'm gonna calculate this move and then okay, maybe not, let's go back. I'm gonna calculate other move and then you go back to considering the first move. Let's say well, they're gonna take here, I'm gonna take here, and then I go back to the line I was previously considering, right? This is progressive deepening. It's useful when you have a lot of time. When you have a lot of time to consider and think, maybe a classical game, maybe you can do that. Like you consider one line here, and then you go back. That is how sometimes grandmasters do it, where they have to consider all possible moves, and then they go deepen in their research. So this time, I'm gonna calculate not only this move and this move, but I'm gonna calculate, oh, what happens here or here, right? But I think other methods are more useful. Instead of progressive deepening, you still have to calculate the critical variations. The critical variations where it's capture checks and threats. Okay, anything that is fundamental. So here we also have to understand the intricacies of the position. Take your time, and what would you play with black? Okay, before I give you the answer, don't take this pawn. Just don't take this pawn. First you get into this fork, but that wouldn't even be the best move. Now after rook h1, where did you put your queen? Yeah, you get into a lot of trouble. And now the rook is coming, the knight is coming, this pawn is about to fall. Yeah, this is not a good variation, right? You stop calculating right there. You don't even have to, oh, wait, let me see if I can make it work. No. So here the crucial pawn is this. Here, let's say I play something else. Let's say I play b5. Okay, they're gonna play this, g5. g5 is the most crucial variation in this position, because if they take, they can take back. Now again, where do you put your queen? Let's say I go here, I'm gonna get fork. So yeah, here you have to absolutely take this pawn. The problem is it becomes interesting. You still have to know, wait, what is the calculation, right? When do you stop calculating? When all checks and captures are done, all the forcing moves are done. This is the critical variations. So here you're gonna say, wait, I just get a check. I don't like that. Okay, you will have to move the king. We understand that king goes to h8, and now there is another forcing move. They have knight to g6. Perfect. Now you have to move the king. It's the only move in the position here, and now they have this discover attack, this discover check available. Yeah, you're gonna lose the rook, unfortunately. So now you have to defend. I mean, you have to maybe defend here or move the king. Smartest move is gonna be moving the king. And now they're gonna take here the bishop. Okay. So after all these traits, you have to also develop the ability to evaluate the position, right? How would you assess this position? Are you winning? Are we losing with black? Okay, so with the computer evaluation is saying black has an advantage of 1.5. Why? Just the fact that we have this move protecting the pawn. My king is much safer, and the knight can land on many squares. I have flexibility with the knight. Another move that I can have, queen f6, targeting the pawn. So what I'm gonna play next, they also don't have many moves. That's unfortunate, but this pawn is really awkward. It's a backward pawn, and they cannot attack the pawn directly. They say they go king g3. I can just defend my pawn. Everything is good. I can give a check here. I have more piece activity. Even though apparently I am down the exchange. Yeah, they have they have a rook for the knight, but I have more activity. My knight is better in this position than his two really awkward rooks. Also because I have more space. There is another method of calculation that I would like to mention. That is not necessarily calculation, but you can do it, and I would do it if I was a professional chess player. So here you know exactly the moves and the responses, so it's more like memorizing. Okay, here we play knight to f6 and bishop to d2. Here what you want to consider is the different possible moves. So for example, a good move for black is going to be castling. But another move can be bishop to d7. Then white, if they also know the theory, they will know exactly what to do and what is the best move in the position. Not even by calculating, just by memorizing the line, right? And they probably look at the engine. So if they're looking at the engine, they're going to say, oh, okay, the best move in the position for white is to go back queen to d1. They possibly look at other engine. They also recommend queen to c2. So here we're not really calculating with black either. We're just saying, oh, okay, I know that if they play this, my best move is to go bishop to d6. Why? I don't even know why. Like, I'm just looking at the engine saying, oh, I know this is the move. So, and then let's say they play something else, queen to c2. The best move is not to go back, but it's just to take here. Yeah, that is very complex, right? Just to memorize every possible move, the subtleties. Instead, I would just focus as an improver, adult improver. I would just focus on, I'm just going to develop my pieces, get my king to safety, and then worry about the calculation when I am facing more tactical opportunities. But in this case, I have nothing to worry about. I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm gonna go exactly what the engine is saying, because quite frankly, I'm not gonna memorize all of it. But okay, just for you to consider, if you want to be a professional chess player, this is what you have to do. Memorize every detail of every opening, just like a grandmaster. So here's another tip. This is the Engineer's Gambit channel. So what you want to do is reverse engineer a solution in a continuation that doesn't work. So as an example here, black plays h6. And we're thinking, oh, maybe I can just take the bishop, because if they take, the queen is hanging, right? Well, yeah, but this continuation, they don't have to play this, right? They can just play, let's go back here. Okay, h6. This continuation doesn't work because they can just take the bishop. And now black is actually better after this. Why don't we reverse the order? Why don't we get rid of the knight first? We reverse engineer, we just change the order. h6, now we get rid of the knight. Doesn't matter how black takes. The bishop is now unprotected. So we can take the bishop. Let's say they play something like this. Okay, we just move the knight away and we are winning with white. Okay, always reverse. Think about this. Reverse engineer, change the move order in which you are finding the tactics. Okay, thanks for sticking around the whole video. As a very useful tool to improve your calculation visualization skills, you have leestudy.org. So go here. Oh, there is a little ghost. That's new. And then click on blind tactics. So here you can change the number of plies. If you're a beginner, maybe you can start with 1 or 2 and then bump it up even higher as you make progress. So there is showing me, just as an example, first the first move, and then I have to make a move from that position. So queen a2 is saying, 3 little dots means it's black to play. Queen a2, then rook to e8. So the rook goes here. King g7, king g7, queen f5. So my queen goes here to f5, and now queen to c2. From this position, so my queen is here, right? And my rook is here. Okay, my queen is here, my rook is here. I cannot make a move from this position. If I try to click here, nothing happens. But my queen is here. Okay, now I can see the possibilities. And I'm not sure, I think I have to give a check here. I'm gonna move here to, oh yeah, that's the move, correct move. It was queen giving a check to e5. And now what happens is f6. So they're moving the pawn to f6. I think I have to complete the check to queen e7. Queen e7, and now the king goes to g6. It must here. So if I don't remember correctly, my rook was over there. So everything is happening in the head, right? That's the move. Now king to f5. King to f5. I'm not sure. I think I have to push the pawn. G4. Yeah, that's the correct move. And then they reply with king f4. So the king is here on f4. And I don't recall where is my queen now. I think it's here. Oh, it's here, sorry. Oh, that's the wrong move. So it doesn't matter. You still see how it works. I still have to work on my calculation skills so I don't make these mistakes. But so yeah, thanks for watching this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Oh my god, it was so simple. It was the queen was here. I just have to give a check, queen e3, checkmate.